Well, this is Ask Mike, but today I think that people will notice it's probably going to be Ask Mike and Britt and John.
Yeah, more Britt and John.
Once again, I'm the eye candy. You guys have all the knowledge. So we want to talk today a little bit. Mike, if you've never heard us, Mike and I find ourselves walking down rabbit trails so far away from the topic of the day, but then we always think that'd make a great podcast or a good episode if we would kind of pursue that. And so one of the things that I was thinking of is the fact that the officers and or board and or volunteers for these organizations, and listen, you tell me, I would call it a professional organization because I think you guys are real professional. I don't know how you advertise yourself, but those guys have a real job. Those gals have to go to work every day and still try to keep up with the business of the organizations that are so important to what we do or that regulate so many of the individual, growth accomplishments of the students that we teach. So I just thought it would be kind of fun. And I need to make sure everybody knows who everybody is before, people listening and or watching, before we get too far into it. But Mike, why don't you introduce your friends and we'll go for it.
All right. This is Britt Cole. We've known each other for a long time since she was at Eden. We'd go clinic the band, and we've become really good friends. In fact, I was the officiant at her and Richard's wedding.
Awesome.
So that was a cool memory for me, and hopefully a good memory for them as well.
Can you be serious enough to officiate a wedding?
No, it was quite the. There were some strange looks from the audience. Let's put it that way. It was interesting. He talked about tax breaks and everything else, so it was interesting. But no, she's done a great job as a band director and as a person, and served in many official capacities. I've done a few things throughout my career, but nothing like these two people. So this is Britt Cole. She's out of Pecos. She's at Crockett Middle School currently, and just tells Richard Cole what to do. And then if it doesn't, it's a great system as long as no one asks any other questions. So that's Britt Cole, a great friend of mine. And then John.
Let me ask you before you jump to John.
Okay.
I know Eden and I know Pecos. Is that the two places or is there other stops on the way?
My first year teaching, I taught in Cisco for a year, and then I was at Eden for 6, and this is my 6th year out in Pecos.
Cool. So listen, I drive down I-20 a lot. And every time I go through Cisco, I say it like Buddy the Elf. Cisco. That's fun to say. So congratulations to you. I'm glad to meet you. I've known of you in a very positive way for a long time. But I've never actually sat down and had a conversation with you. So it's awesome to meet you. I'm actually going to take John, if you don't mind.
You go for it.
This is my friend, John Carroll. And John, I'm trying to figure out, was it about 1995-ish I met you in Dalhart? Is that when you were there?
I moved to Odessa in 1995, so it's sometime between 1986 and May of 1995.
Well, it would have been 94-ish then, because that's when I started working for Caldwell Music. But
yeah.
Anyway, we've both been in Odessa now for a long time. And one of the things I love about Mr. Carroll is how many of his students still, every time I mention his name, and so I'm going to name drop real quick, Elizabeth Mendoza works for us now. And she is just so thrilled to hear that you were going to be doing this and wanted me to make sure I said hi. And
I do, Elizabeth.
For you, Miss Cole, I'm supposed to tell you your favorite saxophone player was in the store. He said you would know who that is. I said, why don't you tell me your name just in case? Aiden was here.
Yeah. Definitely out there.
Oh, and you got to get a chance to do a shout out to her mom.
Oh, yeah. My mom is not a band director, but avid listener.
Awesome.
If she doesn't know Britt's on the podcast, she listens, so Britt's going to leave it as a surprise when her mom pops it up.
That's awesome. Okay, Mr. Carroll, I kind of
down the rabbit trail.
Tell me what other stops were on the way. Was it just Dalhart and Odessa?
Oh, when I first started teaching in 1977, I was looking for that perfect job. So I went to Dumas. Yeah, I went to Dumas for 2 years. And I'm always compelled to say I was never asked to leave anywhere. But I went to Dumas for 2 years, Stephenville for 2 years with Wendell Gideon. There's another outstanding U.S. Texas director. Yeah. Quanah, Texas, up by Wichita Falls. That's where I met Mike at the Midwestern Band Camp. I think he might have even been a student still. And then La Feria down by Harlingen. And it finally dawned on me, there's no such thing as a perfect job. So when Dr. Traylor called me in 1986 and said, come, would you be willing to come work here? To work with my college teacher, college mentor, a guy I totally looked up to, was a great dream, great privilege. Stayed there 9 years. After 9 years, he left Dalhart and commuted to Dumas to teach, and I was I was hired by Van Ragsdale. Oh, and that's another West Texas great person. Anyway, I was hired by him to teach at Permian. Then I finished out my career in Monahans, and now I'm at Odessa College. So I finished my public school teaching in Monahans, but now I'm at Odessa College.
Awesome. You said something. The reason we're talking about those great band directors is I was asking, and I would ask you the same thing, Britt. People that influenced and/or everybody went, that's the director. So that's why he said, oh yeah. But I'm proud to have both of you here. I think both of you, obviously, what I was trying to say by name dropping your students, have already either left or begun leaving legacy with people that you guys meant something to them. So congratulations on that. And we're proud to be associated with people like that. Mike, I asked you this, and I think the reason that we decided to bring in other people, I don't know that you ever served in one of the organizations like ATSSB and or TMEA.
Well, I did I never served in office in those, but I was the librarian and organizer and hosted tryouts for Region 2 ATSSB for about 8 years, simply because my old high school band director, Greg Miller, was the new area chair when Lewis Thornton retired, and he told me I was going to do that.
There you go.
I was done, but at the state level, I've been on the CASAP committee for TMAA, and that's kind of the judicial board in case there's problems, and also certifies applicants to be on the TMEA provisional or active board, and also served in Region 16 on the Music Advisory Committee. And so I'd go to the state meetings for that, but that's nothing compared to what these two individuals have done as far as being a region secretary or a TMEA president, things of that caliber. Mine was do a few things and, answer a few phone calls and you're done. Theirs is pretty relentless, what they dealt with. Relentless in a good way, sometimes not as good a way, right, Britt?
I
leave that open for you.
I disagree. Being a host is one of the hardest jobs and sometimes thankless and requires so many hours of coordination. If Susan Rhines over at Greenwood ever stops hosting, my job becomes exponentially harder. She's amazing. So good hosts are hard to
She's a good one. She's a good one. Yeah. District band, region band, and area tryouts, all at Wiley High School. So like Luke McMillan, a good friend of mine, he gave me a hard time because he was in my band at the time. And he goes, Mr. Lunny, it kind of sucks that I have to make all-state band to leave my high school campus. He just drive up to the high school for every level of tryouts. But go ahead. I'm chasing rabbits. Sorry.
Mike, you said you served on the TMAA committee at one point?
Yeah, TMAA, the CASAP committee. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's very special.
Yeah, it was fun. Mark McGay, he's a good friend of mine. I've always got to get Skyriders. We marched Skyriders together. And
Is it the name of Hope?
Got to get it. Yeah. But he's the fine arts director of Birdville now. I was at Keller for a long time.
Right.
But he called me and they needed an at-large member. So I think I was at the very bottom of the barrel and he couldn't find it himself. He said, I heard you want to do this. And I was like, sure, what do I do? So, but it was,
However it works.
yeah, there was no voting on me. Let's put it that way. No one else voted me.
Tell me currently what your capacity is. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Currently, I am the region coordinator for ATSSB in Region 6. Additionally, I serve as the TMEA vice president of Region 6.
Double dipping and double responsibility. Like it.
Yeah.
Okay. The TMEA, that Jeff Whitaker at Permian is a really great president. So I don't do a lot for the TMEA side, but I do serve in that capacity as well.
Cool. And John, I don't know what other things you did before you were TMEA president, but you're a past president of TMEA. So,
Yes, sir.
Did you do other things prior to that?
Well, dating even back to the late 1980s, I served as percussion organizer, all-state percussion organizer, probably for a good 15 or so years. And then I served as the all-state band, an all-state ensemble organizer, which is, organizes the whole thing, copies music and all the mundane things and puts folders together and all those sorts of things. And then shortly after that, I was elected as Region 6 president, Region 6 chairman. And then shortly after that, I kind of got, I don't want to say the itch, but I just kind of became more and more interested in, I would observe people like Andy Seeley, or Steve Andre, who served as state band chair. And I thought I would like to do that. So I ran and I did not win the first time. I thought, well, I'm going to do it one more time. So anyway, it's a great way to impact educators, which by extension is impact as students. And of course, that's the most important thing. That's really bottom line. That's the only thing, is how things work for the students.
Cool. Well, I do some of that to establish the fact that I think we're talking to the right people for this conversation. But I'm going to back up a question. Did you stumble into this? Did you actively pursue to do something like this? Or was it, look, somebody's got to do it? Hi, kitty. Sorry.
That's Alexa. So my best friend, Josh Bailey, who's at Alvarado now, he was the region coordinator before me. And he asked me to be the region band organizer. And so I did that for a number of years. And so I coordinated with all the individual band organizers and percussion organizers, clinicians, and did all the logistics for that and spoke at the concert, things like that. And then when Josh left for Alvarado, I didn't necessarily have ambitions for this position. But he encouraged me to run, and it's been really great. So that one kind of just fell into my lap. And then TMEA, again, encouraged to run, but I was already serving in, the ATSSB capacity. So always interested to serve. I'm more sometimes of a worker, not necessarily a coordinator. I like coordinating, but I always like to help volunteer. That's how I met John, was volunteering for the TMEA office. And I do a lot of volunteering at the convention, being like a performing group escort or introducing clinicians and things like that. So I always really liked my role as just a band organizer, but region coordinator has been really awesome. So just the correct circumstances.
Right. And now that you say that, John, would you agree that a lot of the first time experiences come because somebody asked you to do it?
I would agree. That's what happened to me when I was first a percussion organizer. Charles Johnson from Pampa, again, another West Texas giant, Charles Johnson from Pampa. He was an organizer that year. I think that was around 1987, 1988. And he called me because I was living in Dalhart, so not very far from Pampa, and asked me if I'd like to be the percussion organizer. And I just have always, I don't want this to sound cliche or like I'm patting myself on the back, but I've always just wanted to help people wanted to see if I could make someone else's load a little bit easier.
Right. Well, I can relate to that. There's lots of things that I watch people, you can see frustration, you can see fatigue, and you're like, I know how to do that, right? I could help.
Yeah.
That's how I find my organizers, John, is I just cold call band directors and ask them if they want to be a band organizer or a percussion organizer. And thankfully, I work in the best region. Region 6 is awesome. I think out of everyone I've called in this, my third year to be an organizer, I think I've had one person tell me no. Everybody's like, sure, absolutely. What does it entail? And then they sign up. So I don't even send emails asking for help because too many people will say yes. And then I have to rank them. So I just call specific people.
Let's say no.
Let me throw a question at you, Mike, because I just want to make sure we say this. We're very proud of the fact that when I go back and look at our analytics, we have people listening in places that I would have never dreamed would be listening to a podcast about music education in general, band directing specifically. I mean, like foreign countries. And I'm like, Mike, who do you know? And he always says, Skywriters.
Yeah. But and I work with some marching bands in Colombia, in Bogota.
So if to make sure everybody understands, do you think, Mike, you may know this as well. Is Texas the only state that, I know everybody has an MEA, but I've also seen some of the other MEA conventions and I'm like, no, you don't understand. The Texas convention is so huge compared to most of the rest of the nation.
Yeah, it is. And there's just so many people. It's a wonderful thing because, KMEA up in Kansas, we, you mentioned through the Skywriters. We go to that one as well to recruit students and so forth. And I happen to be on the board of directors for the Skywriters, so I understand the whole office thing because we are a money burning inferno. Think of a high school marching band without a tax base. And that's exactly what we are. So we burn through $200,000 a year. Just trying to field a core. So there's a lot of work and a lot of effort. I'm going to be spending the next 3 days doing emails to recruit students, but our TMEA at one time was just simply a convention for Texas. But if you look at it closely now, there's a lot of directors coming up from Mexico. There's a lot of directors coming down from Oklahoma, from New Mexico, from Arkansas, from Louisiana. It's become like our version of Midwest.
Well, I'm going to jump in right away because I was going to say, I think Midwest has had somewhat of a resurgence over the last several years.
Yes.
But I would say there was a time that TMEA was actually probably a bigger, John, you can correct me, a bigger convention, not just in floor space, but in attendance.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know the attendance of Midwest, but I've heard so many people say, and I love going to Midwest. I'll be going here in about a week and a half. But I've heard so many people say that TMEA is a little bit better. I do know that the TMEA exhibits, there are more TMEA exhibits than there are Midwest exhibitors.
So I was just trying to give some reference point for people that might not be from Texas that are listening and going, why is this a big deal? Why is TMEA such a need that much organization? Because it's huge.
And one question for both these individuals is, how does it help in your networking? Because networking is a part of corporate America, and we have to network as band directors if we want to be successful in whether that's competition or whether that's building a better program. There's different definitions of success. But Britt, how about you first? How does it help you network with other people? Do you competition?
So really, that's how I met John, was volunteering for the band office for the first time. And I remember him talking to me, and this was around the time right after running for band chair, and he was running for president-elect. I remember I had his little ribbon, and John spoke to me and was like, "Hey, Britt," and I was like, "John Carroll knows me." And even I was telling someone,
right?
No, I told someone today, I was like, yeah, I'm being on the Ask Mike podcast. And I was like, it's like John Carroll and Brittany. I was like, he is so awesome. And you get to see such awesome people, especially region coordinator. I know everyone in my region really well. Region 6 is probably, you talk about the organization of TMEA being so big, Region 6 is probably larger than some states.
Yes.
Entire organizations. Because we go from, Presidio to Alpine, up to close to Lubbock, over to Abilene, down to Menard. So it's huge. And so I know all of my directors really well and get to, know some awesome people, but especially at the TMEA level, being performing group escort or introducing clinicians, you get to watch some awesome clinics and meet some just incredible educators and learn from them. Even just, watching an honor bands warm up. I've done that a few times, and you just learn so much from those individuals.
Very cool.
What do you think, John? Networking.
Well,
everyone needs to, John. There's a difference.
Don't say stuff like that.
What is the target for this? So he does
no
networking thing.
Certainly, it's a good way to network at conventions. I also want to say, the convention is just one component of TMEA, and I would say that probably the biggest component, but I would say the Midwest is. I don't want to speak out of school there, but I think its existence is for the convention. So TMEA's convention is just one part of it. TMEA sponsors all region and choir, band. Midwest is just band and orchestra. And I think Midwest is absolutely phenomenal. But TMEA has a website, a job board, and they have grants that you can apply for, and they have advocacy materials and just so many things that TMEA has. And through those means, you can network better. And there's nothing wrong with networking. Some people might call it politicking. I don't believe that that's what it is. I don't believe it's glad handing. I believe it's just getting to know people. And if you're looking for a job, there's a job board. And there's just so many opportunities to get to know people better. And the convention itself, obviously, everybody converges from San Antonio for 3 days. And, that obviously helps. That obviously helps. And people in Texas are maybe I'm getting off the topic here, but people in Texas are so willing to share their knowledge. And it's not like it's a secretive thing. It's not like everybody's watching their back and they don't want to tell everybody their secrets. It's really the opposite. We have so many people who, the clinic submission, for example, this year there were over 500 clinic submissions just in the band division. So you work through those, and so many good clinics are not chosen because there's only just so many time slots. But anyway, you go to these clinics and you realize these are the people who are successful, and they may not all be people you've heard of, but they're successful nevertheless. Some people just choose to keep a little bit lower profile, but they're sharing their secrets, and they're making sure that they're not secrets. They're sharing their methods and ideologies about what works at least for them.
I think that's awesome. And you have both just kind of touched on something that Mike and I think is one of the most important things that we try to do at this. Number one, we want to make sure that somebody in an isolated area that doesn't have anybody to share and or talk to has an opportunity to hear from folks like y'all and be encouraged. But mentorship is a big deal for us, that if you feel isolated, Mike has said it, I bet you would both agree, you're welcome to disagree if you want to, that it's very seldom you're going to find somebody say, yeah, I don't want to help you. That most of the time, if you say, I don't know what to do, you seem to have a handle on it. Everybody shares. Everybody, Mike and I come from the era, and John, you're probably there too. Mike likes to say our mentors didn't care so much about our feelings back in the day. but they just
But they delivered the info, didn't they?
the info.
When we asked for it.
But in both of your organizations, or both of, ATSSB, TMEA, I think that's such a big deal. Even if it's in the director's room where everybody's being casual and, waiting for the audition process, if they're not a judge, so much gets shared and so many, and you realize in those scenarios, in those times, that it's not just you. You're part of something so much bigger. You have peers, you have comrades, you have people that want to help. So just wanted to throw that in real quick. Congrats. So I think it's great.
TMEA does have a mentoring program. Not that that's the only way to get mentors for your program or for your professional growth, but it does have a mentoring program. There are also, a lot of people who are retired and kind of have, well, like Mike, for example, kind of built themselves a network of people they mentor with. So when mentoring at this point in time seems like it is a bigger deal than what it was back in 1977.
Yes.
Or if it's not, then I was not aware of it back in 1977. I was living in isolation if that's the case. But it's a bigger deal now.
John, you know that mentoring back especially like at Caldwell, Saturday, everybody showed up in the coffee room, played each other's records, and helped each other pick music.
Right.
I don't know that we do that anymore. I think the internet's kind of eliminated some of that face-to-face stuff. And there's a positive side to it. But at the same time, I miss the smell of coffee and cigarettes and band directors telling each other, "What are you thinking?" So
that's, the big comment in Region 6, and I know a lot of regions, is talking about moving to virtual region meetings. But I think like that camaraderie is so important, especially when you're at a place by yourself, to get to go and just have fun sometimes with other directors.
Absolutely.
And in Region 6, we have, an unofficial pool party after. But, even just like, I have like such fond memories, like going to Logan's with the other directors back when Logan's was around in Odessa, and the conversations and things that happen at lunch, and not always about work, but just about life sometimes. I think it's important to have those days.
It's awesome. And I know both of you probably foster that kind of thing within your peer groups and your organizations. But here's something I'm going to ask, because again, one of the things I'm trying to do here is encourage people that might not know that there's a place for them to volunteer and or help, or know that they even could be good at it. Did it just take that first time jumping in for you to go, yeah, I like this? And the second question to follow it up, so I'm going to give you each side of the coin. Did you find that it took away, and if it didn't, great, please tell everybody that, from lesson plans, I say that tongue in cheek, and or your actual teaching?
What do you think, Britt?
Well, go on, Britt.
I think, region band organizing, it came really easily to me. I was a big part of Region 6 moving to a lot of the digital stuff, helping them kind of progress away from the giant paper folders, which has been, I think, a positive change, especially for schools copying and paper budgets. And I really did enjoy it. I have liked building relationships with especially my organizers and getting to know them better. My organizers were just all awesome. I saw someone on Facebook the other day asking about what being an organizer was like, and one of my former organizers was commenting on the process, and she was one of a kind. She was fantastic. And just doing it for the first time, and people's whoever's asking you to be the organizer, typically is how that works. They'll be pretty upfront with you about, what's involved and what it needs, and hopefully be willing to help you if you're having, problems. And so, once you do it, it's great. Volunteering at the convention, you kind of get to choose what you want to do. And so you can choose an area that's your strength, and you can decide, hey, I don't ever want to do that again. Or if something, really strikes your passion. But I think, just trying it for the first time is really important.
Did you totally agree, Dia?
Go ahead.
Go on. Good one. I was just going to say, let's try one more time.
You go there. You go there. You go there. I was going to ask Britt, did you find you had to figure out how to carve that time out?
Oh, yeah. Second part of the question. Sorry. Yeah. So I don't miss classes for region band organizing. I really or for my job now. So I don't let it take away from mine. I will say, this time of year as a region coordinator is very busy. We have auditions this Friday and next Friday. So coordinating judging lists and emails and marking DNAs and all of that, it definitely is busy. But even as a region coordinator, I think probably it ranges from, maybe an hour or two extra time a week to a lot. But most of the time it's pretty manageable. And a lot of it, you're already doing that as a band director. This is just on a larger scale, the way that you're doing it. So a benefit of being on the PECA staff is you're also going to get to be an organizer. Everybody on my staff is a band organizer.
Like you said it. You get to be.
Everybody is a band organizer except my color guard director, because she's plenty busy. And so they're all busy making copies right now. So every once in a while, my husband, who's my head director, or one of my assistants will be like, hey, I'm scanning music right now. Is it okay if I'm not, at this class today? And I'm like, yeah. So definitely there's a little bit of legwork. John was talking about the mundane work, the making the copies. Now we're electronic. So, making those PDFs and sorting it is how we do it in Region 6. So definitely a little bit of tedious work. But it's in seasons, it's not all the time. And once you get it uploaded, it's done. And then you get the opportunity, especially my younger directors, to work with outstanding educators. My honor band organizer, it's Richard, my husband, but he gets to work with Willie Owens with the honor band. Last year he worked with Gerard Hall. He gets to work with these, composers that come in. And one of my organizers, Will Miller over at Greenwood, got to be an organizer for Mike, who was his high school band director. And you're going to learn so much being in those rehearsals. And so hopefully, the compensation, it's not really great per hour. But hopefully that combined, with the experience and getting to know, those people and working with the kids, I hope it is worthwhile. I find most of my coordinators do feel that way.
Cool. And that's a part of networking. And, who knows if Richard Cole would have met Willie Owens otherwise, but that is certainly a part of networking. And Britt a while ago said something about introducing clinics. In other words, being presiders at clinics at TMEA. I have presided quite a few times. I've been honored to and blessed to. And many times I didn't know the clinician. A clinician can either request a presider or just leave it to the TMEA division chair to assign one. A lot of times I didn't know the clinician, and I got to meet them and learn a little bit something about them. Sometimes they're from out of state, sometimes they're from in-state. But every little bit of networking is a good thing for people. It's a good thing for one's career. It's a good thing for one's professional development. And as far as time, I think in essence you were asked about the time. I vowed to myself when I became band division chair, I would not let it affect my job. And I'm sitting here saying it did not. I can say without any hesitation that it did not. It may have affected my TV watching on late at night. It may have affected my nap time on Sunday afternoon. But I recall one time, and this was before digital copies, I was copying the all-state band music, every part to send to the organizers so they could print it off and build the copies. And one year, it was either 2018 or 2019. I worked on that at a copy machine for hours upon hours, a few days in a row, stand up, working at it till about 3:00 in the morning, and then putting it in Dropbox. But it takes time. But what Britt said, there are seasons to it. But I also want to reiterate what she said about the organizers. The organizers just have so much on their plate that really sometimes don't get appreciated, and that they do a whole lot of, they do a whole lot of extra work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's
Professional organizers.
Jumped in and did region clinics and so forth. If you don't have a good professional organizer, you're sunk.
right.
There's no way the concert's going to be good.
Yeah.
And so that's always my first question when someone calls and says, hey, who's my percussion person? And that's the first person I call, because we've got to have a plan. My worst scenario ever, I did an all-region band, and a parent came up after the concert and said, I'm not complaining, but my son didn't play on anything. They just sat there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm so sorry. And that tore my heart out, that, they were there to watch their child, and the child didn't speak up for himself. At least I have to speak up for himself. So I always make that a point, said copy off a whole bunch of different things, and everyone plays on every tune. I don't care if we're 3 snares and 4 marimbas. Everyone's going to play something on every tune. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's important. One thing to kind of ask these guys too is, we've talked about these really big jobs that you guys do. But if someone's interested in doing something, just call and just say, what can I do? I think my first job was to count ballots at an ATSSB state meeting when we used paper ballots. And so I counted ballots. I just called George Strickland and said, hey, I want to help. And he said, well, show up and do this. And I was done in like 30 minutes, but I got to meet 4 other directors. And I felt like I did something to help the organization. So it can be it's kind of like when they talk about giving money to something, $25, $10,000, both are important. So it's the little jobs, they add up. So what do y'all?
Right.
Yeah.
Even like our clinic and concerts, when I need help setting up our backdrops for pictures or changing setups, we had so many people helping the setups. We had to tell people to go sit down because there was so many people just helping move chairs and stands, which really helps our concerts run on time. And we went to go set up a backdrop, and I was getting up from whatever I was working on, and they're like, oh, no, sit down, we've got it, And so, just helping out when like the same thing we tell our students, when you see people moving chairs, get up and go move a chair, and just, be good band kids, just grown up.
And it's always about the kids. You think, okay, somebody, an assistant band director somewhere steps up to help set up for the next band. Well, that makes the all-region band process just a little bit smoother. That makes it just a little bit more enjoyable for that freshman or sophomore or junior or 7th grader, 8th grader for their concert, because it's less dead time. So that means they have a better impression of it. So they want to audition for the next year rather than saying, oh man, it took 30 minutes to go from one band to the other. We're just waiting. So, it's just all about that. How do we don't do it for ourselves. We do it for our kids. So convention clinics are geared more toward educators that, there's not really many kids in there. But however, TMEA does have a student day, but it's, you want to make it better for the teachers. You want to give them some knowledge so that they can take it back home. And, so there's stuff they can use Monday morning to make their students happier people, happier young people, better musicians. It's just all about them. And for anybody who wants to do it, that is something we always keep in mind. It's always about the kids. Anything else is superfluous.
Amen.
Okay. I've got to throw a little bit, and I feel kind of awkward asking this right after this, and I hope everybody does it for the kids. But as far as your peers, as far as people who may not have been involved in some of this before, to what degree do you think this helps create the full experience of an educator? Volunteering, being part of these organizations, going as deep in it as you. If somebody doesn't do this, are they missing out on something that they just don't understand? Does that question make sense?
It does to me. I want to jump on that one, even though we have these wonderful guests here. But yeah, for me, it made me realize one important thing, doing all the little jobs and kind of serving. I met people and realized that all of us have the same exact problems at school and at home. And that was an emotional support system that served me well. And I still feel like I'm part of that emotional support system. I always joke and say, people ask me what I do for a living now. And I said, I provide psychological and emotional support for band directors while I pretend to work with organizations. And so, and I just want to throw that in now. Well, let's throw this to Britt. What do you think, Britt?
I think it's definitely, I feel like it's important for all of us to help serve the organizations that make our jobs what it is. Without, HSSB, TMEA, our programs and our livelihoods would not be what they are today. And so I think it's important for you to serve in whatever capacity that looks like for you. Obviously, not everyone may have the time or resources, to do the big jobs, but even doing the little jobs, it's what makes our organizations operate. This time of year, we get sometimes people don't want to judge, region auditions. Well, if it's not you, then who? And so it's important, everybody's got to, pitch in to achieve, the common goal, which is providing the best opportunity for our students.
That's awesome. Yeah. Agree, John?
Anything? I totally agree. I could not say it better. I totally agree.
Britt, there's one question I want to ask you, because you're a woman, okay? I really feel like there's not an adequate representation on our offices, our officers, as far as, and there's lots of great women who are doing it, but it's still kind of an old boys club. I hate to say it that way, but I want you to, if you feel comfortable, to kind of make a plea out there to jump in there and don't, if someone tries to mansplain something to you, tell them to get the hell out of the way and show them how it's done, because you're an amazing officer. And also it's, there's not a lot of minorities involved in these positions like there should be. They're not representative of the ratio of what we have in our state and what we have in our band programs. It's kind of an old boys club kind of thing. So I'll shut up and let you kind of talk to that if you feel comfortable, Britt.
Yeah. I think it's so important for our students to see in their leadership from their directors or in the leadership of their organizations, people that look like them. And so while I do have lots of boys in my band, I also have lots of girls. And I don't have, and Mike is one of my favorite clinicians to come out, but, I don't have a lot of white boys in my band, and it's so important for your students to see people in those roles. And it's important for them to know that, for young directors to see that too. I think that a lot of times, especially females, like when they become moms, it is harder to be an organizer if you're bringing your kid to region auditions. And when I was region band organizer, I definitely watched a baby in an office while they took a nap for my organizer who was a new mom. And I think it's so important region coordinators, if you want women to serve in these roles, help them.
That's a good point.
And provide resources for them to be able to participate in those roles, especially, single parents and things like that. And girls, run, you can do it. It's important. Sitting in the ATSSB meeting, it is still very much a boys' club. Angie Liss is our president, and she's a powerhouse.
Yes.
I saw her in the
nature.
I saw her in the elevator at the Alamo Dome State Marching Contest, and she just looks so powerful. And she can run a heck of a meeting. She is so great, and I'm honored to have her lead ATSSB. And so I think it's important, to vote for that representation. But we are still largely, the minority in this profession. Just it's a numbers game. And so if you want to see that representation, take those steps and be involved and be brave, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Awesome. Hey, and John, in terms of being TMEA president, is TMEA taking any positive moves to try to incorporate more minorities to recruit them into positions, or am I completely stepping out of bounds?
Well, I've been out of the leadership role for 3 or 4 years now, but during COVID, we established the DEI, and back in 2020, everybody's doing that, rightfully so. And honestly, I'm not sure it's quite as popular right here in 2025 in general society. But the purpose of that was to, it came right after the George Floyd killing. And the purpose of that was to make sure that we were not underrepresenting, make sure that the things being said in clinics were appropriate for everybody, make sure that our students, everybody's students were being approached, make sure our policies were not in any form or fashion prejudicial without even people realizing it. So I think I don't think officially TMEA is, calling people and saying, hey, run for this or run for that. But I think a lot of individuals are doing that. I will say that we had in 105 years of TMEA band division, there's only been one woman who was band division chair, state band division chair. So there's one running this year. So but I think there are a lot of individuals who are reaching out to people and say, hey, throw your name in the hat.
Very good.
There are more and more female all-region conductors. There are more and more female band directors. But and I don't have the figures here in front of me, but I'm sure there are more men band directors than there are women band directors still.
And I think also it's important to, when you vote, when you're voting for these offices, to vote for the representation that you want to see. I know in Region 6, I started an initiative to help broaden the clinicians and the works that we were performing for region concerts. Because the last year, second year, I was region band organizer. Every single composer that we played was a white man, and every clinician was also. And I think maybe we had, one piece that didn't fall in that category, and that was for all 3 region bands at the high school and all 4 at the middle school level. And I was like, that has to change.
Yeah.
And I'm not we didn't set it as like your checking box that you had this representation, but we're making an active decision to make sure that our students are seeing and playing music by people that look like them and represent, the world that we live in.
Yes, and not only the clinicians coming from different communities, but you said just now, the composers also, the composers of the music that you play.
Now, just a really quick idea behind that. I was in all region band, and Kathy McFall was a trumpet player. that just whooped me. You know what I mean? She was, she made all-state band and I didn't. I was first chair region and she was second chair region. She was very generous in that. But the region clinician was Barbara Spurberg, who's now Barbara Lambrick. And at the time, we were all looking at each other like, we weren't against it, but we just never seen a female band director. We'd never seen such a thing. It'd be like a female head football coach, at a varsity game. And she was obviously amazing. But I bring that up because I saw Kathy years later after she got her music degree, and she said that was a pivotal point in her life, was seeing an all-region clinician come in who was a female. And she went, we could hold it a second. So this is something that is part of my horizon now. So I think what Britt was doing with the composers and the clinicians, there's different political things we talk about and we all bicker about things. If there is the point that Britt's making that I want to really second this is that kids need to see people who look like them as leaders. Whether it's composers, clinicians, or region chairs, they need to see those people. I'll just leave that. It says Britt's doing a great job of it.
Cool. I liked it. Not a question I would have thought of, Mike. Awesome.
That's why you pay me the big money. All the breakfast burritos I can eat.
I've heard you say that before, Mike. Exactly how much are Britt and I getting paid, Derek?
I'll take care of y'all at the convention. It's
Mike.
We always just tell them, so we'll take care of that later, guys. We'll just get it.
He tries not to wink on camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know how busy everybody is. I just thank both of you so much for hanging out with us for a while. Is there anything, and Mike, if you have something else, tell me and I'll
I'm good.
Set up.
Let's up the guest if they want the fun with you.
Is there anything that you would say in consideration of the conversation to encourage, to, maybe somebody there's such a thing as imposter syndrome. And a lot of people think I'm not qualified. I'm not good enough. I don't want them to see me in that. Would you encourage somebody today? And I think there's a place for everybody at the table, even beyond just the conversation we just had. But everybody has value. Everybody has something they can contribute. So I'll let you guys kind of wrap that out. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Some people just, their preference is to not be in a position of organize or lead. They just want to, that's just fits their personality to not do that. But if anybody is so inclined, what you said a few minutes ago, call somebody, get on the phone and call somebody and say, hey, I'd like to help out in some way or another with this all region weekend that's coming up. And, if a region chair is going to resign at the end of his or her term, if that interests you, call them and say, hey, what is all that involved? Now, we'll say you never know what a position involves totally until you get into it. So if you've been an organizer for 4 years, you probably did better your second year than your first year, and then your third year probably got better, and your fourth year probably got better. That's just, that's just the way life works. The more experience we have, the better we can get. But yeah, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, because it does take a lot of time. But if you're so inclined to do it or have questions about it, and I saw that same Facebook post that Britt saw earlier today that she mentioned about being an organizer, call someone and say, hey, what all is it involved? Can I do it? And you say, well, yeah, you can do it. If you need some help, I'll help you. But yeah, you can do it. It's not rocket science. It's busy and it's real, it is time consuming. It's busy, but it's also real gratifying from a personal point of view. But, we don't want to do things for our personal gratification. Ultimately, we want to do things, and I go back to this. We want to do things for kids. And if we can help in any form or fashion, that would be wonderful. And if you do suffer from imposter syndrome, join the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who's coined the phrase. She says it beautiful. She calls some parts of life, it's just the beautiful mundane. but you have to stop and realize that the beautiful mundane is what leads to the beautiful moments. You can't have those moments without. Would you verbalize anything different, Miss Britt?
No, don't be afraid to reach out and ask how you can help. Everybody has talents and skill sets that can be helpful. And don't be afraid when your region coordinator calls you and asks you to do something, because they probably called you for a reason. Before I call someone to ask them to be an organizer, I've asked other people who would be a good organizer. And so I'm calling you because I think it would be good for you and you would learn from it. And so don't be afraid to help out, and don't be afraid to just pitch in and help get the job done.
Here's another way I'm going to ask this because it just kind of hit me. Did either one of you in your 5-year goals, did it say, I will be the region coordinator, I will be TMEA president? Or is that something that just evolved with you? It's my guess.
Was not on my 5-year plan. I'm a type director. I don't really have a 5-year plan, but it wouldn't be on it if I had one.
I just think that's one of those things that evolves with this as we go.
I agree.
I've heard so many people speak so highly of each of you. I can't tell you that I'm grateful that you took your time to be with us today. I know that Mike appreciates both of you greatly. And from that standpoint, thank you again from both of us. You want to say anything else, Mike?
Oh, man, just thank you for giving up your time. Britt, I lovingly call her my band daughter. And John, I guess you can be my band dad.
No, we need to revisit that.
Oh, then brother, is that better? Difficult. Thanks, guys, for living time. Thanks for being here, Sean. Yeah. Thanks for wasting your time on our podcast.
All right. I know you guys got copy machines to get back to, or digital scanners.
Digital scanning.
Such a fun guy. Thanks for the invite.
You bet.
Talk again soon.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.